hello, and a very good morning to you all. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with me, Maha Mukhtoom. And I just would like to remind everyone that Shahzad is away now for the next few weeks. He has decided to finally take a long overdue holiday after a couple of years of working solidly. So have a great time, Shahzad. We will miss you on the show, but we will see you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when you return. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. The weather is beautiful. It's raining, but it's also still warm. So this is what I was thinking. In this country, we're so lucky with the weather that we have. We get all the different seasons and we're able to enjoy them. And I was just thinking, I was talking to my mother back home in England, and it's not too summery there. So we should really thank our stars and we should appreciate what we have within our doorsteps and, you know, in our lives. But now we have a wonderful show lined up for you. It is full of information. However, before we get started with the show, let's look at what's happening around the world. And there's some Pakistanis making some big news across the world. Let's take a look. Myra Khan, a very famous established Pakistani actress, has made her debut at Cannes Film Festival. She has risen to prominence in recent years and has stunned the red carpet. Her fashion, her outfits, absolutely fantastic. And moving on, as the World Cup draws near, Russians adapt new ways to have fun on the pitch, such as playing soccer in bumper balls. My brother did this for his pre-wedding celebrations. And it's meant to be really fun. And within, I think even within Islamabad and in Lahore and Karachi, there are sports complexes that offer this as well. So do check it out. It is a bit hot, so do be careful. Make sure you take some water. But now, moving on, we have a wonderful show lined up for you. It's a bit serious, but as you know, we like to give you a lot of information and we like to see what's happening within Pakistan. And not just what's happening within Pakistan, how are the systems comprised of? What does it entail? What do we need to be aware of? And, you know, are we up to date? Are we doing justice with the whole population of Pakistan? And these are things, you know, questioning or asking what the situation is, it's not a bad thing because knowledge is power. And also if we can see what the systems are like, we can then see what the strengths and weaknesses are, and then we can adapt and adjust and move forward. So to discuss what happens within the legal framework of Pakistan, we have been joined by Mr. Akhtar Javed, who is an advocate of the Supreme Court, and he will be explaining to us everything about the Pakistan legal system. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for inviting me on this wonderful show.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's an absolute pleasure. But I'm going to need you to speak a bit louder because you're speaking very softly. So within Pakistan, what is the legal system comprised of?
The legal system which we have inherited in our country is based on the system of England and Wales.
Right.
So that's actually based on common law.
Right.
So when I talk about common law, that means there are certain principles which are very important and very significant. For example, the principle of stare decisis is very important. That means the judicial pronouncements.
Okay.
So whatever the decisions the apex court are going to take, that would become a part of our legislative process.
Okay,
and decisions.
and already you use lots of terms here that I have heard before, but let's make sure that we clarify everything. So, Apex Court, what's that?
Apex Court is this Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Okay,
That's the highest form of litigation.
Okay.
Initially, the litigation starts from the civil courts.
Okay.
So
so let's break it down. So the legal structure, so you have litigation,
yeah,
criminal, and
civil.
So these are the three components of Pakistan legal system.
No.
No.
There are two major components.
Okay,
One
so let's
is the
start
civil.
from set the umbrella. So let's start from the big,
Okay.
and then we'll work our way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have to start from the grassroots. You know,
Yeah,
what
okay.
type of litigation you can initiate.
Okay.
You know, when a client comes to you, obviously he's facing a grim situation. So
Right.
you have to extricate him from that chaotic situation as a counsel. So what would you do? Obviously, you'll be going to prepare a case for him. When I say case, that means plaint. That is the fundamental document. That's
Okay.
the basic document.
Right.
and the averments of the plaint would constitute the cause of action, the concept of jurisdiction, the court fee, so on and so forth.
Right.
So you'll be recording all the details in that suit, and that suit would be instituted before an appropriate forum of law. And when I say the appropriate forum of law, that means the civil court.
Okay.
So you'll be filing a case before the Honorable Civil Court.
Right.
And the civil court would be going to take cognizance. For instance, you file a case before the senior civil judge. He would be going to entrust that case to the concerned civil judge, who would be going to adjudicate on that case.
Okay.
So on the first date of hearing, after hearing the plaintiff, they'll be going to issue notices and summons to the defendants who have been implicated in that case. So there would be an array of defendants in that case.
Right.
So notices are in terms of different modes. It could be, registered AD, courier service, and proclamation in the widely circulated newspapers. So once the notices are served upon the defendants, defendants are required to enter court appearance. So defendants, while filing their defense, which is called written statement,
Right.
so written statement would be the rebuttal.
Right.
They will be going to controvert all the assertions which have been given in the plaint in the form of that written statement. So once the written statement and the plaint, that would be there on the court record, which would constitute pleadings, the court would be going to frame certain issues.
Right.
So there would be two types of issues. One based on questions of law.
Right.
Second, issues would be of facts. That would be the factual controversy by and between the parties. So when I talk about questions of law, what type of questions of law we usually have? That could be pertaining to the question of jurisdiction, because whether the court is having that territorial jurisdiction, whether the court is having that pecuniary jurisdiction to
So now when it
adjudicate upon
comes-
the case.
Okay, so now this comes up a lot, and this, we hear this a lot in conversation about jurisdiction. Now, we're here talking about it. I'm already feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the different terms that you're using. But then on the grassroots levels, what is actually happening? Are people aware of the different processes and the different kind of actions that are required if they do bring a case forward to the system?
Yes, they are aware of that, because once you are a part of, litigation, you got to know all these things. And obviously, when a lawyer is engaged, lawyer is telling his client all the time that this would be the next stage on which you have to enter court appearance. For instance, when I was saying that after framing of the issues, the process of evidence would start. So that would actually be the time when the witnesses would be entering court appearance, because you have to produce the list of the witnesses. If you are a plaintiff in a case, obviously you will be producing witnesses in order to substantiate your claim, whatever you have alleged in the plaint.
Right.
Or for that matter, when defendants would be going to enter court appearance, they'll be producing their list of witnesses, and the witnesses would be entering court appearance for recording of their evidence. So that process is called examination in chief.
Okay.
Once,
And anyone can bring a case against anyone within Pakistan?
if it's not a frivolous case, if it's not a baseless
Now,
case.
who decides if it's a frivolous or a
Well,
baseless
it's
case?
the court which is adjudicating the case. There is a provision in the Civil Procedure Code which was promulgated in 1908 that if you come across a case in which court does not have the jurisdiction, the defendant can always move an application in terms of Order 7, Rule 11 CPC, which states that plaint can be rejected the moment judge comes to know that this case is not maintainable.
Okay, and now another thing, because you threw in a date here, and I was actually meant to do this in my introduction, but I think this is the problem. When you brief the guest too much before the show, you kind of forget what you've said on air and what you've said behind the scenes. But now within Pakistan, we mentioned that, this is a legal system that Pakistan inherited when Pakistan was created, correct? We inherited the British legal system.
That's correct.
Now, you've thrown in a date of 1908, which is still relevant, and it helps people to this day. Is our legal system up to date
To be honest,
with the needs of the
no,
citizens?
to suit the exigencies of time and climb, I guess not.
Okay.
For the reason that the law which we are following here, it was promulgated in 1908. And the law pertaining to the Criminal Procedure Code, that was promulgated in 1868 and 1898, respectively. Now, the issue is, Britishers wanted to perpetuate their own regime. They wanted to stay in the subcontinent. Therefore, certain laws were made in the advent of the 20th century. So there was a purpose. For instance, when I am talking about 1908, so what type of circumstances were there? In 1909, Minto-Morley reforms were to be brought, and in 1919, Montague-Chelmsford reforms were to be brought. So they wanted to stay in the subcontinent. So they introduced a concept of inherent jurisdiction, and they made that procedure so cumbersome and so lengthy. That is why, you know, people are facing a lot of toil when they are before the appropriate courts of law.
Okay, and that's, you know, that's actually one of the reasons why we have you on the show to you know, let's find where the little dips are so that we can kind of empower the citizens so that they can kind of maneuver around it or get the best out of their own country. So now, you know, as someone who is an advocate of the Supreme Court, but, you know, it gains a lot of respect. The decisions, you know, are upheld, and people do, you know, there's a lot of weight that they carry, obviously. But what do you think is the role now of, you know, of the legal system within Pakistan, and yourself as a lawyer? What are your role to kind of make sure that, first of all the situation is explained to the citizens of Pakistan, and the fact that it is modernized or it's up to date in relation to the needs of the people as well?
Well, as a counsel, you know, I have
We're
opted for
deviating
this
from
profession.
the explanation, but I think this is important.
Yeah, you know, I have opted this profession. You know, I had an opportunity to join other professions as well, but you know, I wanted to be a lawyer. So, you know, I feel that the job of the lawyer is very important, because if you are not seeking successive adjournments on one pretext or the other, and you are there in the court, then judge would come to know that, yes, this counsel is very serious. So the procedural hiccups, the procedural delays, if any inordinate delays caused because of, you know, strikes by Pakistan Bar Council, so on and so forth, or because of the absence of the judge, that's another phenomena. But as a counsel, I feel if all counsels are sincere and they go to the court to defend their cases, then I don't think so there would be any problem.
Okay, excellent. So now, is that what's happening when we're putting into practice? Is this the practice on ground reality?
Ground realities are very hard.
Yeah.
You know, we must admit it.
You know, and we need to admit it, because that's what we're here for. We're here to give that balanced narrative. So,
you know, the issue is actually, you know, whenever you file a case, there's an option to file a miscellaneous application in the court for seeking an interim injunction. You might have heard this word stay. Stay has been granted. So what is this stay actually? When interim relief is granted to the party, that means final leave can also be granted to the party. So on the first date of hearing, interim order is passed. So once the interim order is in the field, that is always an appealable order. So prima facie, if you have got a good case and there is an irreparable loss which has been caused, and there is a cause of action against you, and there is a balance of convenience which lies in your favor, you have made a good case. But when that interim order, which is an interlocutory order, that is challenged before the appellate form, because the civil judge who has taken the decision, that decision can always be challenged in the appellate form, which is the Court of District and Session Judge.
Okay, so then after the civil, then it's the district.
District and Session Judge.
Okay, great. Okay, so now for the people who are suffering, you know, who are in legal situations or involved in legal cases, when someone is prolonging and delaying their case, what is, you know, because we see a lot of cases that have been going on for 1 year to 5 years to 10 years to 15 years, 20 years. What's happening there?
Actually, you know, you have to bifurcate. There are two stages. When you file a case, there are pleadings, there's a cross-examination evidence going on, and the matter is right for passing of the final order. So once the final order is passed, again that final order, that decree is appealable before the appellate form. But the process of execution is also very cumbersome. Suppose if there is a money degree in your which has been passed in your favor, so you want to execute that degree. So what is the law available? Obviously, you will be moving an application before the executing court of law for the execution of that degree, by entailing all the details of the properties belonging to the judgment debtors. And the judgment debtors are...
Okay, you've lost me there. You're going way
Judgment debtors are the individuals against whom decree has been passed. The defendants who were defending the case, now they have turned into judgment debtors. And the plaintiff who filed the case, he has now become degree holder, because there's a decision in his case. So once the judgment debtor is there, and...
What's another word for the judgment debtor?
He was defendant in that case. Defendant in the, or respondent in that case. Now there is a decree.
Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Yeah. Okay.
So the defendant against whom the case has been decided, you have to execute that decree. So you want that the amount of the decree must be realized. So what would you do? you'll file an application in the court that I want the realization of this decretal amount. So they'll be going to trace the antecedents of the judgment debtors and the defendants. Where are they residing? What are they doing?
Okay.
Have they been declared as proclaimed offender or not? And what are the properties? So let's bring those properties to the dominion of the court. So they'll be going to attach those properties so that the same properties should be put to auction for the realization of the decretal amount.
Right, okay. And this is at which level?
This is also a lengthy procedure.
Yes, it is. And it
This
sounds
is a
like
full
a very
dress.
complicated procedure.
This is a full dress civil trial I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And this is a civil. We're still
Civil
at
trial,
Okay, so
yeah.
now let's move on because after district, because we have literally got, what, 2 more minutes to kind of sum up the district, and then what comes after district level?
After district, then there's the Honorable High Court.
High Court.
High Court. So at times you were talking about the delay. You know, sometimes we move to the Honorable High Court,
Yes.
so that a direction may be given to the subordinate courts to take the decisions on urgent basis.
Okay, and anyone from civil or district court can go to the High Court?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
If it's an appealable order.
If it's an
because
appealable
there's a catalog in which they've referred that these are the appealable orders.
And this appealable order list, it's available to all the citizens of Pakistan? They
Yes.
can check it on
Yes. who are in-
online?
No, those who become a part of litigation.
Oh, so you have
Against,
to...
you have to be, you know,
So you have to go
either
to a lawyer.
aggrieved, you
Okay.
have to be aggrieved, or either, you know, you are affected by any of the judgments.
Okay, great. So you must go to lawyer. Now, okay, and one final question, because we are running completely short of time. This is such a huge topic that we're literally skimming like the top bits of it. But for someone, majority of people within Pakistan, they have limited resources or access to resources because of certain, whatever situation, maybe education, healthcare, legal help. Now, for all those people out there, when they are needing a lawyer or some legal advice or going down the legal path, what are the key pieces of advice that you would say that they would need to keep in mind, especially when it comes to picking a lawyer and then how to go about their case as well?
You know, there are so many stages in which we suggest to the clients that you should enter into rapprochement or reconciliation. You know, you should not go to the court.
Is that mediation?
Yeah, it's sort of a mediation,
Okay,
reconciliation, settlement and resolution of the... So if you want to resolve the issue, nothing like it, you should not go to the court. So we as counsels advise them that it's not appropriate to go to the court.
Right.
So you can, approach, there are forms as well, there are certain courts, reconciliatory courts which have been created, and they can go to those courts prior to initiation of litigation. So litigation as a last resort would be an option, I guess.
Okay, so that's the practice, and that's wonderful. And also, one final question, for all those viewers out there as well, is there any way to check that the lawyer that someone is choosing or picking is actually a lawyer? Because just like in medicine, in the medical world, you have all these quacks. There's probably, or is there nothing like that in the legal?
I think that tendency has been curbed, more particularly when the Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, he took severe notice of this kind of, affiliations. If you're not affiliated with any bar council and you are practicing as a counsel, so this must be deprecated and denounced. So nowadays bars have taken very stringent actions against those lawyers who are not enrolled as lawyers, yet they're appearing in different cases.
Wonderful. And now another final question, because we just got one in from one of our viewers. If the person doesn't have any money and they're living within this country, what options do they have?
Well, they can straightway go to the bar councils, and the bar councils have prepared a list of those councils who want to render services for such clients who are financially impoverished.
Oh, excellent. So, and they can get that details from...
Yes, from the bar council as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
They can come to me as well.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we will call you back to kind of actually dissect, because you have the criminal system, then you have the civil system, and then the different district level and high court. So we have a lot to crack on, but we will be doing more shows over the next few months regarding that. But thank you so much for being here today. So guys, that was us discussing the legal system and framework within Pakistan. There were at points it got a bit intense, the wordings got a bit heavy, but if you would like any information, we will be sharing everything online. But now we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, we're going to be observing an international day, which is very important, and we all need to be aware of it. Do stay tuned.
passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Shandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Shandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Shandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
The largest cultural activity in Pakistan is the annual National Folk Festival, Lok Mela, held in Islamabad in October each year.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were discussing the legal structure within Pakistan. It is something that we have inherited, but people are trying to make the best of it. But the discussion needs to be there. If anything is ever going to evolve, you need to have differing opinions. You need to have different ideas in order to take it forward. But now, moving on, as I mentioned to you, we are taking part in an international day. It is the International Day of Families. This is also a UN recognized day. And the theme for this year is families and inclusive societies. So it's in line with the SDG goals which they want to achieve. However, within Pakistan, we like to discuss the importance of families because with our tradition, with the religion influence as well, the importance of family within our culture is huge. Family comes first, blood is thicker than water. And we've seen a change, especially since the technological advancements with the social platforms and media taking up, and the breakdown of the joint family systems as well, due to whatever reasons. But, things change, things evolve. Or is it evolve? Is it evolved? We'll find out. But we're going to be discussing the importance of families and what is actually happening. And to discuss that, we've been joined by two wonderful, glamorous ladies. And I'm going to be very nice to them because they're a bit nervous, but they're teachers, so they should be all right. So we've been joined by Samreen Ali. She is an educationist and a teacher. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. How are you, Maha?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm good.
You guys, you look great, by the way.
So do you.
Thank you. Besides Samreen, we've been joined by Aisha Butt. She's also an educationist and a teacher. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Assalam. Good morning, Maha.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You guys look wonderful. You guys are also teachers, and we're going to be talking about the importance of International Day of Families. Now, Samreen, I'll start with you. Within Pakistan, we're seeing a shift from, the traditional joint family system to nuclear families. We're seeing more of those. What impact do you think that's having on families or children these days? And the same question will go to you as well, actually.
Maha, I think that, we are actually having those joint family systems earlier, but now moving towards the nuclear family system. But I think that, still now in Pakistan and keeping our traditions intact, so we have the joint families at the moment as well. We are having that.
So it's a different kind of take on it. Aisha, do you agree with that statement that, obviously I'm not saying they've just ceased to exist, they still exist, but we're seeing a decrease in the number of them. Is that correct or not? What are you seeing in your schools?
I personally think, alhamdulillah, we are in Pakistan itself, we are still blessed with the traditional family system, where people are still opting to live in the joint family.
Okay.
Yes, there is a shift, and there is, to some extent, I would say a minor shift, where people are preferring the nuclear system, where they prefer to live, the couples, the children, and make something of themselves. But however, having said that, even those families themselves still refer and rely on their relatives and family for the support. Despite being shifted out of the house or moving in, to their own house, they still have that bonding with their
And I think
family.
for us, like every day for us is a family day, isn't it?
Well,
like if we just consider our traditions and our culture, I think every day for us is a family day.
That's actually a very interesting point, and that's actually very true. In Pakistan, we do see family a lot more regularly, I guess, than you would get the opportunity to see them abroad. Now, the theme for this year is families and inclusive societies. So that means that all the families have access to education, healthcare, and are free from violence. They have safety. So I'll start with Aisha, and then the same question to you, Samreen. I'm preparing you guys, man. So with the fact that within Pakistan, we are a developing country. We're getting there. There's a lot of wonderful people, as we've been highlighting for the last 5 years, who are working on them, making Pakistan better. But regarding this inclusive societies, where do you think we stand? And the thing is, I don't want to paint a false picture here. Let's paint a very realistic, not necessarily negative picture, but what does that mean? Because inclusive means access to education, equal education, equal healthcare,
Unfortunately, the bitter truth is that, the society, the country that we live in is based upon status and class. And, if you're, alhamdulillah, the more fortunate one, you can afford these facilities for yourself, for your children. And, having said that, there are a few that are fortunate that do provide for the less needy. What I personally feel is, even though there are policies, there are rules and regulations that have been provided, or there are fundings that have been provided for the less needy, there's not a great awareness as such, or there's not enough, things that the less fortunate know or are aware of with the government funding in order for them to help their children, with the facilities of education.
Okay, and interesting. Now, Aisha, Samreen, I'm going to change the question slightly. So, the awareness isn't as much. So how do you think that, like you said, every day is family day. We live in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, where family, parents, all these things come first. So why is it that we are still failing to kind of provide these things to everyone else as well, do you think? Why is this lack of inclusivity within our society? You guys educate kids, maybe you can see it, everyone comes from different backgrounds. What's happening within that's kind of causing these divisions and this kind of unhealthy competition?
Well, I think, Maha, that you're absolutely right with this thing, but I believe that, we are still intact with the thing. Like, we are just heading towards Ramzan Sharif, and we are just having at least at this part of the year, we are just actually preaching what actually
we should be doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're just trying to get a hold on that.
Okay. Well, so that's the thing. This is my, Ramadan is coming, and we remember, that we need to be good, reflect, be giving, have to sacrifice. But what I'm saying is that, you know, Ramadan has been happening since we were born. So, I mean, it happens every year. So, this kind of inclusivity. Same question to you, Aisha, because I want to answer it. We're not, I mean, what's happening? Why is there division? Why are we not looking out for one another? Why are we okay to kind of...
It, like I said, there's different schools of thoughts on this as well.
Yeah. And that's what we're here,
before-
to represent different school of thoughts.
Before, everything was more traditional based. I mean, we were lucky and blessed enough to live in a society where we didn't have much technology.
Yeah.
Our parents were there, they brought us up with the values, the traditions, and they had more time for us, and they made us identify, understand, you know, about the less fortunate and other factors as well that's associated with the culture and society.
Okay.
However, having said that, and unfortunately, right now the world is like survival of the fittest.
Yes.
So everyone is just running and just thinking about themselves, and that so be it the immediate family itself. And I think because of that, those values and traditions have been left behind. But having said that, like you said, being educationists ourselves, we have incorporated a values-based program in our school.
Wonderful.
And we've had live conference at, you know, even at PM House regarding this whole values conference, where a lot
That
of
went really successful.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent.
Alhamdulillah, say.
So what did, you know, at the PM House, when you had this value system, what were they talking about?
Actually, like as what Aisha said, that we have incorporated like 12 values altogether to incorporate in our curriculums.
So what are they? What are
So like honesty, it's honesty, it's tolerance, it's patience, it's like
Trust.
working together. It's all about like we have to now teach that every lesson should be integrated. It's not about teaching them or telling them about the values. It's like it should be everyday thing for them.
Absolutely.
So that's what we are just trying, that, you know, in every lesson, they should directly or indirectly know about the values which are, you know, religion and which our tradition just tells us.
Excellent. Yes.
So, and having said that, it's not just about teaching them. We've also asked them to practice, you know, and
Exactly.
practically conducted. We've done assemblies based on them, where students have actually facilitated and given ideas about a particular value, whether it be love,
And-
peace, trust, honesty, and they've actually acted out plays as well. live.
And you know, during the lessons, they need to know that that, you know, we cannot tell them every time to develop patience and to
Exactly,
have
yeah.
the tolerance thing. It's always like, you know, when they're when they're working together, it's an indirect kind of a thing. So that's make the students learn indirect learning of all the values and everything.
That's wonderful. And now, you know, and that's the thing, I always feel like such a bad guy when I ask my serious questions. But, you know, these are also just stereotypical ideas as well that we like to kind of bust as well on our show. But now, like you mentioned, that it's about practice and it's not about preaching. It's about actually carrying out and living that life. And, you know, Pakistan is known as one of the most humanitarian and giving nations as well. And, you know, there's lots of surveys on that. We've mentioned that multiple times because we take pride in that fact. So, you know, it's not all bleak. But the thing is, people do have the struggles. So there are sustainable development goals that, you know, Pakistan has signed on for. They are trying to implement these things, and, you know, they're doing it on the government, you know, the civil level, everything. Now, regarding the theme as well for this year, Pakistan, like you guys have both said, and you know, you've rightly kind of told me as well that, you know, the family system is still very strong here, and we see that even socially. You're with your friends, you get called, you have to go for dinner, you're gone, you're with your family.
Exactly. It's
Now-
not like abroad or anywhere
Yeah.
else. We cannot have such.
Yeah. Now the thing is, regarding the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, I'll start with you, Aisha. Regarding the education, healthcare, you're a teacher. Are you guys making the students aware of the different hurdles different families or different backgrounds have within their lives within Pakistan? Are we sensitizing the children?
Yes, in our curriculum, whether it be PSCD, KUWA, you know, general knowledge, we provide them. We actually make them understand about the different communities, cultures,
Excellent.
both not only within Pakistan, but our neighboring countries as well.
Wonderful.
So they are aware about other countries and, you know, what they are, how their lifestyle is like,
And
the cultural
I think it's
diversity.
the need of the time. Like we need to just make them aware of everything. Our children, our students should know everything about different cultures and different environments and family setups across the world.
Absolutely. And now that leads perfectly into the next point, that with this kind of boom with social media platforms and this access to it, and now, you know, there's age restrictions, no one pays attention to those. I mean, I've seen some really young people who look meant to be 18, but I'm pretty sure they're like 10 or 11 years old on like Instagram or Facebook.
Exactly.
So now, what impact do you think social media is having on the family structure, if any? I'm being more careful with my questions now. So if any, does social media have an impact? I'll start with you, Aisha.
Like anything, there are pros and cons. We cannot now, in this particular era, we cannot live without the technology.
Oh no.
We cannot at all. But having said that, you know, the pros are that, yes, we all tend to do this. I mean, I have two, mashallah, two daughters, and I remember before my mother made me realize, yeah, Aisha, you need to focus on them. I used to just come back from work, Aisha, here, take the iPad or take the phone and everything. So they're listening to nursery rhymes, this and that. But when I realized, no, you know, I'm not paying much attention to them. I'm not giving that time that they need. I mean, they're only 5 and 2, mashallah say. So I've made a rule in my house, and that is from Monday to Friday, there's no iPad, no mobile phones. And I'm trying to, what I've done myself is when I leave work, I think we both try, we avoid not answering the phones unless it's really, you know,
We
seriously.
work together, and that's what we've discussed with each other, that now this is what we have to practice it.
Okay, that's
From
amazing.
now onwards.
Okay, now the
But
thing
it
is,
definitely leaves a bad and a good impact both. At times it's good for us because of the social circumstances. We have to interact with people, and at times we just need to have a sneak out for this thing.
absolutely. No, and that's absolutely fine. You know, I mean, you can't, you know, you're human beings at the end of the day. But now, well, that's the thing. I wanted to ask you, like, so you don't think social media utilized by busy mothers? I mean, is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, because I feel like a lot of parents, they have a lot of guilt as a result, that it's, you know, because like I said over here, my whole point about the joint family system was that what we're seeing is that there's a lot of these youngsters, because the mortality rate in Pakistan is now 50, it's gone down. So, you know, people don't live very long. So the nuclear family system, the joint family system is only for a certain amount of time anyway. So those mothers that also have to work.
Exactly, you're right.
Now, my point is, for those, the fact that they have to go out there, when they come back, they put on the social media just to kind of distract their child. What are the alternatives that they can do? Or is that necessarily a bad thing, was my point.
Actually, like I said, I've stopped the social media.
That's a very long-winded
in replacement for social media, what I've started doing is they get to color, they get to play with Play-Doh. Outside my house, I've put like white plain sheets so my daughters can freely paint. As opposed to getting the house dirty inside, they can paint on the walls outside. They play with their stuffed toys, their dolls. And in fact, what I've started doing is I asked my daughter to help, like, you know, bring 5 potatoes. So at the same time, she's actually counting from 1 to 5.
Okay.
So,
She's
you know,
fortunate enough, she's having
smaller, younger
daughters.
daughters.
Yeah.
I have grown-up kids, so I cannot make them
It's too
sit.
late.
It's too late.
Sorry, yeah, continue.
So, you know, there are alternatives. We need to see what our parents used to do with us. They can play at the you know, in the back, the background. They've got swings there. They have a seesaw place there. They have football to play with. So these are the alternative methods, you know, that they can do. And again, if you're going to speak about the less fortunate, they also have a ground. They also have parks available that the CDA has given them, you know, and they can utilize that time as well.
Okay.
There.
No, but the thing is, what you were saying that, you know, you don't let your children, you know, they are very young. But anyone who may be listening and wanting to opt in on this, doesn't this almost to a certain degree also put the child on a back foot too? Because if everyone else is technologically savvy, and so when they're like in their teens, when they have, do you think it won't be a negative impact?
Personally, I don't think why it should be, because you should balance both the technology aspects as well as the everyday to-day recreational. They should be, you know, you should get your children more involved in swimming, horse riding. There's football clubs, there's martial arts that are being conducted. And alhamdulillah, yes, the country is catering for these things. So why, instead of having your child sit idle mind, why don't you get them out onto some, joining some clubs or facilities that we're
Wonderful.
providing?
And because we actually run out of time, I will ask you guys to just share one piece of message, on the International Day of Families for all our viewers. Is there anything in particular you would like to say to everyone?
I would just like to say that love your families, give time to your families, give time to your loved ones. That's the most important message for this particular day. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Actually, my family are actually abroad in London.
Okay.
So I'd like to say that love your family, live your life to the fullest. Once that time's gone, you won't get it back again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
so
here. It's been
much,
an absolute
Maha, for
pleasure
being-
discussing this day with you guys. So like Aisha said, that, we have a certain amount of time on this earth, and, our families, a lot of them, we're very lucky that they love us and we get on with them. But, if you do have problems with them, Ramadan is also coming. It's a time to try and make peace or find peace with the situation as well. But it also isn't just about our immediate families. It's about being an inclusive society as well, that we provide healthcare, education, a safe environment for everyone that walks this earth as well. So with that, if you would like to have any information about anything we've discussed today, be it the legal system or the International Day of Families, log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, Twitter page, World This Morning without the G, Daily Motion YouTube page, World This Morning, and the repeat is at 11:05 p.m. this evening. Have a wonderful day and be good, be safe, drive safely as well if it's going to be raining. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.